And welcome to Sports by Compian Midwest Series. We are joined here by a much anticipated guest, Dan. I mean, come on, get it right. Anyway, I'm Stephen Compian, of course, your host, joined here by my ever powerful, changing his shades up every episode, Mr. Dan Gill in the house. Dan, how are you?
I'm great because, we finally have one of our favorite people we like to talk about on this show finally show up. And he is our poster child for episode 68 in his glory, running down the field with that flow.
Absolutely. The episode 68 champion, the president, runs it, do it all selfer over there at Lake County himself, Mr. Jeff Jewell in the house. How are you, sir?
Tired.
You look tired. I mean, carrying that team on your shoulders must be tiring work,
No, that's not the tiring part. The tiring part is trying to avoid your guys' calls, asking me to do this.
But we are persistent, so here we are. And we much appreciate you coming around.
When you messaged me the last time, I think I was just sitting on a bike, and I was like, I don't think I have anything going on this week. I have no excuse.
Well, here you are, and we much appreciate it. We've been wanting to talk about, Lake County in general. As Dan mentioned, we brought up the team before. We're happy to get the insides of it, what's going on over there. How are you guys so fucking good, and why do you gotta be peaking at the same time as Rockford? We're getting down to the bottom of it, and we're happy you're here. Jeff, take us through this last year, because you guys have been good since the spring.
I think there was a new mentality going into this year. More of like a no-nonsense kind of a thing. Going into this fall, we knew we were losing our head coach, so I used that as a ploy to get some of the guys back who have been around for the last few years, and then they disappear, and then they come back, and then only to tear their ACL against you guys. Yeah, that's all right. But that really, that's what it was. Is I think everybody was trying to come together for our coach for his last season, and it paid off.
That's awesome. How do you guys think you'll be now that he's maybe moving on? I gotta be honest, I don't even really know. I can't even picture this guy in my mind right now. He's definitely not as loud as Paul then. So
he doesn't talk. He honestly, during games, there is no conversation.
It makes sense.
More or less, I'm pretty sure this is gonna air after our big announcements with all of our coaching stuff. So as of right now for the spring, we're going to do a coaching by committee. I'm going to be the forwards coach, along with our other prop and our hooker. So our entire front row is going to be our forwards coaches. And our new flanker is going to be our offense and defensive strategist. And our captain, Ted, is going to be our backs coach.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Basically a player-driven coaching. CARFU style.
Yeah, in the same line like how you said, I'm the guy behind everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying my hardest not to be a player coach in the fall. So the spring is one
thing.
So
hard.
Yeah, spring is one thing. Rolling subs, you can get out, you can get in, and handle everything. But come fall,
that's a different beast.
It's a completely different animal, especially when the guys that are in those coaching roles are 60 to 80 minute guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So looking for a coach, we are absolutely blessed that Paul has been wanting to retire since I got to Rockford 7 years ago, and he just is the everlasting force that we just don't have a replacement for you, Paul.
It's not allowed.
It's not allowed. And now that I've been kind of just hey, listen, man, you got to stay around for the championships. We're about to get there. You can't retire now. So we're bullying him / bribing him to stay around. It's not easy convincing these guys. Hey, how about you come give up 3 days a week for fucking a huge portion of the year if you're going to do spring and fall.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we started implementing at least a gas reimbursement. I know it's not everything. Driving to Chicago a couple times a year, but when we're doing Peoria and Indiana and Rockford, those are hikes for a couple of teams. And
For sure.
Yeah.
especially with gas being as expensive it is, it's nice to kick it back. But we gave him the
Absolutely.
gift card for the gas, and he threw it back at me. He's like, "I don't want this shit." I was like,
Hey,
What
look,
a
at
guy.
least you offered.
Sounds like a great dude. Shout out to him, and hell of a year you guys put on for him and going into retirement. God damn, dude! I knew you guys were good, and you fucking take it to the riot. Would love to see it, and then showed out in the playoffs. Like beat a strong. Fuck, I'm blanking on the first round here, but you guys absolutely destroyed them.
we played Oshkosh.
Oshkosh,
Yeah.
Oshkosh, that's right.
And,
Yeah, just absolutely mauled those guys.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't that game with a riot that really sparked us in the playoffs to like push. It was losing to you guys. Like
Checks out.
going right into a bye week after that loss, you probably could have broke glass with how tense it was in there. Like there was like legit arguments that happened, and like people were blamed that rightfully so. Like you could blame one of 15 guys at any point. No one
Sure.
deserved all the blame, but there was points where like people wanted to kill each other right after one loss. So like winning so many games in a row to lose, night and day. It literally like rewound the clock a year where no one cared, and then all of a sudden like everybody regrouped over a week, came back, and I was like, you guys do give a shit.
That's cool. And I mean, because getting back to the spring, I mean, what did you guys lose like one game to Oconomowoc like we did, and that was about it?
Yeah. So all year we lost 3 games. We lost to Oconomowoc, we lost to you guys, and we lost to Wisconsin.
That's really good.
Yeah. So,
I remember seeing this coming though. I remember going to all those summer tournaments with the daddies, and putting up mild to terrible performances, but watching the Sea Cows just ball out every single tournament, and you guys got closer and closer. Eventually took that Lion Hunters tournament. So not gonna say I was a prophesize this, but I definitely let the boys know in our own chat because none of them showed up to any tournaments. I was like, hey guys, Lake County looking like a real problem.
I mean, we definitely like switched gears where we didn't utilize the players on our team correctly and their strengths and what they have. One of our guys is a personal trainer who literally works on players for conditioning for, what is it, New Trier out of Chicago.
Okay.
So that bubble freaked me the fuck out. But so I talked to him and I'm like, hey, can you do this better? And then just more and more pieces fell in line, and it started to click.
Well, it comes down to one person kind of putting that together, and I think we're talking to the guy who had a lot to do with it.
No.
Yeah.
Now there's some. Yeah, so I was gonna kind of jump on something else, but you and I've kind of joked about it, and I love that. It's something that we're trying to do up in Rockford. But I love that you guys are like introducing a youth program.
Mm-hmm.
I love the logo.
Yeah, I think you guys really hit home with that logo.
A funny story about that logo. I was actually in London, and the guy who's like the guy who's in charge of the youth program was like lighting me up, like, hey, we need to figure this out like soon. And I'm like, I'm in Europe. Like, what do you want me to do? So he sends me this like. It looked like a 5th grader, like chicken scratch kind of drawing. And it's like 9 p.m. in London. I'm drinking and I'm like, I got it. I just like designed the logo on my phone and sent it to him. And he's like, perfect. I was like, I'll post it tomorrow. So European logo.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome. But how's that going? Yeah.
Yeah.
The first week was a little rough. I think the word was still trying to spread out. So we did those October clinics, and 5 kids showed up, and the guy who's running it has 4 of his own. So it was him watching his 4 kids run drills, and an old boy showed up. Old boy went home, sent out some messages for me. 5 more old boys showed up with their kids. Nice. So we ended up with like 8 people the second week.
Okay.
Third week, there were 17 kids.
Nice.
For people we don't know. Like they
Sweet.
just showed up from the neighborhood. And by the last week, because we only did the 4 weeks in October, there was like 26 kids.
Heck yeah,
You know,
man.
like-
That's awesome.
Are you guys like posting it like logo wise and stuff like that, or
So
like what do you
he,
gauge on
I think, what is it, December 20th, they're actually doing a player, coaches, parent meeting. And when he approached me about this, I was like, I'm all for it, but I'm busy. I think you understand from my perspective, I can't do both. I can help with both, but I can't do both. So like I need somebody to steer the ship and get it set up so if you leave, someone can just jump in and keep it going. Or like every other good system, it'll crumble because
Right.
nobody wants to run the ship anymore. So that was my ultimatum to him when I said, yeah, we can do this. And he's like, cool. So he sent me a like 20-page document the next day. Like he had this prepared, like he knew my answer before. I was like, all right, slow your roll there, bud. And yeah, he had all of it worked out, like how much insurance is going to cost, all the player fees, like and how much it's really going to cost to get going. And it's manageable.
Man, it sounds like this guy is really driven to get it going. We definitely have Eric Hipp has been stepping up a lot for us, our high school coach. So it's cool that we're finding some people willing to head these very important tasks. It's not easy.
We always talk about how a lot of teams struggle to get depth, and this is like the number one program to build that depth.
There was I'm not going to name names by any means in this, but there was a conversation that was had with a couple of people from the state of Illinois and him about his concept of what he wanted to do with this. And point blank to his face, he said they told him there was no interest in Lake County for this. So they were like, well, we're not going to push for it. So he said, well, I'm going to spit in their face and do this myself and prove that if you build it, they'll come.
Of course.
And in 4 weeks, 26 kids show up. That's better than some of the high school programs.
Man, these naysayers out here.
Now, I mean, is there like a particular scope that you guys are trying to reach? Because I know, like, at least for the men's league, you guys go up to Kenosha sometimes. Like what area are you guys looking to draw people in from?
Primarily from like the Gurnee, Waukegan area, because Lindenhurst and some of those areas, because with how that conversation went, he's considering turning it into like a Lake County and house league, which is nice because it's all one thing. So he's in his mind, he's hoping, hey, we get 45 kids. We got 4 teams of 10. They play round robin every week, play half fields, perfect touch rugby system. And his age group right now, I think it's like 5 to 13. And for the most part, like no one's hitting each other. There's no contact yet. We're still trying, like the training wheels are on this. No one is going to get hurt. We just want you to run around and start getting acclimated to the game. So when you go back to school, hey, I play rugby. What? More kids show up. It's how rugby recruiting is. It's all word of mouth.
Absolutely.
Now, have you guys thought about a team name? Because I think you guys should be like the Pups, because it's what juvenile Coyotes are called.
We just Youth Coyotes was what came out the quickest, and kind of keeping the Coyotes name like all as one. So this was the first year we also had that website go up, and I get emails like once a week about a women's side. And I'm like, again, this is something that we could do, but I can't be in charge of it. So if any of you listeners out there are interested, hit me up.
If I could just throw my 2 cents in, I would figure out where the closest youth programs are to you. I would imagine Chicago is probably the closest. And man, anything maybe 20 minutes back from that range, I would consider that all your terrain to recruit from. That's what we're doing here in Rockford is like, it's going to be the Rockford youth program, but we're recruiting in Chesapeake Park all the way up to South Beloit, probably going up into Wisconsin too. And then we go all the way down to Roscoe, Dixon, because there's no reason not to. There's no other teams in any of that area. So maybe it's an hour for you to come play for us, but hey, where else are you going to play?
You're
Right.
doing something.
If you want to play, you'll play. Because
Exactly.
again, I don't live in
Just wide net.
I live in Wisconsin.
Right.
So I make the 45-minute commute every day for
Oh,
practice
wow.
games. So like,
Wow.
it's home to me. I actually did research. I've been playing with Lake County for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I noticed.
Mainstay at this point.
Jeez.
Put down some roots.
Yeah. So are you pretty excited? Like when you think this might actually be, you know, starting to play some of those round robins and such.
For the kids,
Yeah.
like he's already like got a plan in mind. So December 20th, he's got a meeting at so if you've been to our location, our pitch before, across the street, there's a community center. They're doing a meeting there from 6:30 to 8. Just
Nice.
explanation, questions, anything. Kind of like an open house, it sounded like. Come in, ask me questions. There's 3 of us on our team right now that are all registered coaches. So we all said we would help to an extent.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so we need to get some more registered coaches. Dan, you gonna get registered?
Yeah, and I'll make sure I fly out every weekend. So,
all right, sweet. Appreciate you.
I mean, like after doing the course itself, it's not a bad course. It really isn't. It also opens up like more what's the word? Networking. Like networking opportunities. Like I met like the entire course I was in, half of it was like women from the Chicago Lions team who had flown back from Pittsburgh that morning, or like even like flew that night. So they were still covered in mud from their game. Like they didn't have time to shower. They got on a flight. They flew back. And it was an 8-hour course, which it's a full shift on a Sunday. And
yeah, geez.
It's worth it though, because it gives you a different perspective because you have to communicate with people.
Cool. No, I wanted to do it. I think they just were doing it like during Thanksgiving or something, this last one. So
I think there's one in January coming up.
I'll probably be there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, would you guys consider like doing some openers in a way, like if they're doing touch for some of your spring games, for some of your home ones?
Oh, like bringing out the kids out there to play touch prior to us?
Yeah, just so you kind of like, you know, they can see both sides of it.
Maybe something like that. I know there's definitely that like understanding that youth rugby up into like high school is like hard to say like this is what adult rugby is in the club level. Like to go from like pizza and Capri Suns to slamming Malort and beer.
Yeah.
They didn't have to stay to the social part, but just, you know, watch the sport, watch the higher level to understand that, like, you know, the game in full.
And tell them, hey, you're going to want to leave before the game ends. Because,
yeah, exactly. Hey, like, 2-minute warning, you got to get out of here.
I think the biggest thing is that we started like a conversation with our park district, like you help us, we help you. So I think it was like the home game, like 2 weeks before you guys came to us, we played the Woodsman. There was about 700 people at our game.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So they brought out the entire community because the community didn't have like an event going on for that month. So
okay.
they invited them all out. They brought out beer trucks.
Nice.
They put out like kids games and everything. So there was kids everywhere, parents,
like,
just watching it. So we played a full game, and then the Woodsman showed up with 40 guys. So we played a third half.
Nice.
It's those types of opportunities and like bringing people out. Like, hey, this is a real event. I will say on the back end, like if I didn't have my wife, I probably wouldn't have made it through that because she did all like our concession stand and just that alone, like was a huge boost to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
so I was just by talking to your park district basically and telling them, hey, these are our games. Please try to promote it for us.
Not necessarily. So, I think I've mentioned this to you in the past that I'm the D3 match coordinator.
You are. Yep.
Yeah. They told me what day they were planning on doing a social event, and I forgot. And so my bad mistake turned into, hey, this is a great opportunity for both of us.
Yeah.
So little silver tongue on my side to like make it a better opportunity, but they were like, "Oh, next year," and I was like,
It's like
Maybe.
too far ahead.
and like I was like, we need to be more prepared, because it seemed like the week of we were still coming up with plans for this, and I'm like, I don't think my heart can take this.
Yeah.
But like that's awesome though that they were so receptive of it.
Yeah.
You know, it was this great accident that happened,
Yes.
and they want to do it again. So, because that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, look, like just because I tell you to come out doesn't mean I'm going to try to throw you in a match.
Right.
Like we just want people to come hang out with us, watch the game, have fun. Like if you want to try it, you can try it. But if you find out it's not for you, cool. At least you tried, and we respect that. And
right. And like, outside of what like we do during rugby, we do 50 to 100 hours of community service as a club for the park district. So
wow.
Like
Nice.
this year we like, what is it? There's the like runoff from a pond. So when the water gets too high, we were in there like ripping out rocks that weren't supposed to be in there. We've torn down like entire like playgrounds that needed to come out. Last summer we wrapped trees for like 8 hours, and it's it's pretty labor intensive.
Absolutely.
So just saying is he's a handyman if you guys need any help.
Sounds like it.
Don't call me.
Don't call me.
That's the vice president. He installed my floors when we were in Scotland last year.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
And I was just saying, like, big, hard hitting question here, Jeff.
Oh God.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, like, we've kind of like touched on it, like, on the youth side and stuff like that. But like, in a wider scope, like, what do you kind of hope for the club over the next, couple of years, 3-5 years? You talked about you guys get a lot of contact about a women's side, like you're doing the youth program. You guys, just for your men's side alone, has had strong numbers too, which is a promising thing. So, like, kind of in a bigger picture, where do you kind of see things going?
Yeah. This is one of those like I need to think about it type questions. I know 5 years like plan is hard. Like, yeah. I'm trying to think of, because like next week is our winter party, so like that's been the forefront of my mind. I know, like, in a roundabout way, like I'm thinking, what do we do in the fall?
Sure.
So my goal is to eventually have a D4 side for Lake County. I know it's like hard because there's years we go from like 12 people at practice to 30 at a game, and it's like, those 18 guys don't know what the hell they're doing, and you gotta like hope that the 3 that you throw in to start were the smart ones. And then like to start the season this year without all the injuries, we had 37. So for us, it was the first year we had to make legitimate cuts. And they're like, I know if I was in their position, I would have been pissed, because you put in the same amount of hours and the effort.
Sure.
I tried to argue for them in a way, because I was thinking we were going to make the playoffs. So I had started reading Midwest rules for the playoffs, and we had people that hadn't gotten enough playoff eligibility yet. So that's where those like players came into play, was like, hey, you've reached that eligibility point. I don't need you to travel this week. And honestly, like, it's heartbreaking. So, but I feel like it was an easier concept explaining that on a Friday, like, hey, I don't need you to wake up at 9 a.m., drive 2 hours, warm up with us, then find out you're not playing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think that loops back to kind of what we had said before. It was like, it's almost like a blessing that I don't want to say you need to cut people, but like so many times you get stuck with like, hey, we don't have enough guys. We need to borrow some people.
Yeah.
If you have enough people. So it's like, in a way, like, I would say you should feel good if you're a guy that gets cut. It sucks.
Yeah.
But like, you just know that your program's so healthy that you have this level of reserves.
It's nice too that we have enough guys who care. And like 5-10 years ago, it wasn't the case. There was the 6 board members who cared.
Right.
Now it's like, all right, 15 to 20 guys actually are like bought into the bullshit finally, and they're starting to not like in the cheerleader like rah shit, but they're going to the gym. They're sending those Snapchat pictures of them like deadlifting and squatting, and I'm like, huh, 3 years ago I never saw you in a gym before, so what changed? And they're like, well, I want to start now, and I want to be a guy. I want to be one of the starters. And I was like, all right. And people started to show out that way.
I mean, whatever it takes, right?
Nothing like competition to breed the best.
Right.
Does Kenosha have a team or no?
So, long story short, Kenosha and I are finally like squashed the beef. For the longest time, there was conversations that I was out to get them, like trying to poach players from them. I mean, I live in Kenosha. We share a sponsor, actually. So, like, the gym I go to, their president goes to the gym. I have a poster up. They have a poster up. I put up business cards. They put out business cards.
Are they a D3 or D4?
They're D4. So
I mean,
we played them last year in the spring, not in 22 and 21, or in 22, not 23. And when we showed up there, we showed up with 15, and it was bad day. They showed up with 7, and then another car showed up, and we noticed somebody else show up, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not a Kenosha guy. It's not a Kenosha guy. It turned into like the black and white, the Barbarians, the black and blue, and Kenosha versus Lake County.
They just called everybody in.
I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? So, but Kenosha did a merge season this year with McHenry. So,
okay.
And I don't know how either program's doing. I haven't even like reached out.
I haven't heard great things about the Vikings right now, but maybe they're gonna rally. That's my hope. Jeff.
I mean, yeah.
First year, it's
gonna be tough, but I believe in them.
I remember the email they sent when they were looking for matches and like how confident they were in that email, and I was like,
And they came out strong. They beat the Silverbacks, caught the Woodsmen sleeping. They had a couple They had a couple.
The Silverbacks.
I thought they did
in the spring, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe. I'm talking about the spring. I didn't really follow them in the fall. Did they get mauled in the fall?
I think they called the game at halftime with Kenosha. So the Kenosha McHenry team, I think I heard it was like 60-0 at half.
Jesus.
But I don't think they beat the Silverbacks because we played the Cops down in Chicago at the Red Lobster pitch, and they played before us, and they showed up. Silverbacks had 40 guys, and McHenry was like, "Hey, we need a couple guys," and I'm like, "We played directly after you, and it's 80 degrees in April. No, no one's prepared for this heat." And I remember watching. There was a player from the D1 side playing in this match at prop, and he had a 60-meter chip and chase kick try. And to this day, I'm like, why were you out there? No one wanted to tackle you. You just, there was a clear difference in like playing ability. And I'm like, As soon as I saw the ball at the foot, I'm like, he's scoring.
That dude did like his first rugby game. Like, did that dude just kick it? Oh shit, he's running towards me now. Yeah, fair enough. So I don't actually know what happened with the McHenry Vikings, but I do wish them the best. Either way, off track a little bit there, but so that's what's going on with Kenosha. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
So it sounds like your spring is going to be pretty interesting. Like you guys have some interesting matches lined up going to Georgia for the festival.
Yeah, Georgia's I'm trying to like.
And then you're playing some pretty wide out teams. Like, aren't you guys going to Detroit?
So I'm the match coordinator for our team now.
Oh wow!
So
shocker.
Again, my hands in the cookie jar. That doesn't.
How many more hats do we need to buy for you?
7.
Okay.
7. Let's go with 7. So we actually had a match secretary, and we as a team voted to drop down a board member, and that was the position that got axed. So
Okay.
because the fall schedule is handled by the coordinator, the president and the vice president of our club are now the match coordinators for the spring. It makes sense because usually when you have your president, they know everybody.
Yeah.
They're the most like recognizable person. So I'm too social media power driven. So I literally sent like 60 messages on Instagram one day, and people started to hit me up. So to start the season, we're going to Peoria actually, but we're not playing Peoria. So I convinced Peoria to host 2 other teams and us, and we would play a round robin but not face each other because we see them enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then an old boy of ours plays for Fox Valleys, and we're going to them, little reunion game, a little CARFU D3 reunion since they bumped up. And then the Fox City Gargoyles are coming back to us.
Love the Gargoyles. Always a good time.
That's definitely not the game we're going to bring out kids to.
Probably not. No.
After
You
meeting Vitus, no.
You can't expose Vitus to children. I mean, besides his own, I guess.
Yeah. And then we're actually, so instead of going to Detroit, we're going to South Bend, Indiana to play Michiana and Detroit.
Nice.
I figured if we're going to drive 3 hours, I'm going to make it worth it. And so Michiana reached out to us, and I was like, all right, well, if you're going to host us, would you be opposed to this kind of round robin concept? And they're like, no. And I was like, I'll do the work. I'll message Detroit right now. In like 5 minutes, I convinced Detroit to come to Michiana to do a round robin.
You see all this connecting of the dots going on, Dan? Just the everything man is over here connecting dots.
Yeah. And then, we have one weekend open and a match that's half confirmed. There's one team that I'm waiting on their board to finish getting elected next week. And, but it's another round robin that we're hosting, and the Madison Minotaurs are coming down to us. And then a team we played last spring is coming to us again.
Nice.
That's good.
So
how many games is that total? That sounds like a lot.
1, 2. Well, if you count the round robins as separate games,
right?
Then
it's like 5 weekends, right?
Yeah. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically, our old boys game is May the 4th be with you.
Oh, okay.
7.
Okay. That's a pretty healthy spring.
Yeah. Well,
because then, when's the Georgia trip?
First full weekend of March. Like, I think March starts on in the middle of a week in February.
And that's kind of a mercenary team anyway, right? That's like the Sea Cows, more of a mercenary team, or are you guys going down?
Well, so when we originally were going to Nashville last year, I called Skip right away. And then I called Vitus and Dictus from Fox Cities, and I was like, I don't think this is going to be enough. So then I reached out to Oshkosh, and then I reached out to the Barbarians, and then I remember somebody from Wisconsin Rugby Club, and I'm like, doors open. Come on down. Let's play rugby. We'll just super sub it out. I don't care. Go get drunk in Georgia. Don't get hurt. So,
like Nashville was fun. Like when we went, what was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
We went down to help Northwest. I remember after one of the practices, Taylor just comes up to the two of us and goes, Marcus says they need extra hands. Want to go? And I'm like, I don't have anything else to do. And it was some of the biggest crap too, because I'll admit, for being kind of a hodgepodge team, we had a couple guys from Fox Valley show up too, and I forget who we had a few highwaymen play with us too. Because of Marcus.
Yeah.
We gelled and we went all the way to the finals.
Oh shit.
But then here's the thing that I hated. If you're hosting a tournament, you really shouldn't be playing in it. You can play just to play, but don't be bracketed. And Nashville was bracketed in their own tournament, and in the finals they had their A side, their B side, and old boys all lined up. So we had we had 25 guys. They had about like 60 and rolling.
Every
and-
8
and-
minutes, there's another side walking on the field. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, and
Where's
rolling
the
subs, and
equipment
I'm like, come on, like this is the biggest load of crap.
I mean, that's whatever, but I would say it's kind of funny. You roll in there with 25 guys, but you really know you got, 15 to 18 playmakers.
What was it? Nashville this year, all the matches got pushed because there was like downpour from like the worst rain you've had. So we were all out Friday night, and I'm sitting on my phone trying to be like the sober adult on the team, like we don't have to be up until like 8:30, and everybody was out till bar close. And there's a couple of stories from Nashville last year.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, it was a good time.
Some touchy subjects for some people.
Good
Just
times
PSA, don't light a blunt up in a bar.
Yeah, it can lead to problems, I've heard. But we had a good time down there. We ended up with Peoria, and that was a good time. I think we got close a couple games, just kind of slipped away from us.
We won the first game. Which was, I mean, we were all like sobering up still. So we're like, whew.
Yeah.
Woke up, everybody went out again Saturday night. And then it's like, I was like, downtown's a little too rowdy for me today. Midnight, I'm back in the hotel room. 3:30, the door opens. 2 other guys walk in. They're absolutely hammered. And I'm like, our game is at 8 a.m. I was like,
sobering up over 5 hours.
I was like, they're like, what time are we waking up? And I'm like, we need to leave here no later than 7. And they're like, fuck. I was like, these are your decisions. We got blown out by the team that ended up winning the tournament. So
there you go.
Felt better.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'd do Nash match again because it's a fun time down there.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think Georgia's a bit of a hike. I mean, they have an airport and everything, but
they're a state. They got airports.
My sister lives down there, so I'm getting that like cheap hotel rate by not paying.
Nice.
She doesn't know that yet.
Well, maybe she'll tune in Sports by Columbia and find out.
Just knock on her door. Just be like, "Hey, I'm staying at your house for a few days. Tell your kids to go sleep somewhere else."
Family discount.
Exactly.
Dan, did you have any other questions there?
No, I think I'm on final remarks.
I did want to shout out, we have a brand new program. We've been streaming this on. You guys probably noticed. Probably should have mentioned it at the beginning of the pod, but here we are mentioning it at the end of the pod. As you can see, StreamYard is now our official non-sponsor sponsor because they've really done more for us than any of our non-sponsor sponsors before them. They provide us a free platform to stream on. Dan found them. Shout out, Mr. Gill. It's going to be great. And shout out to Jeff being our first guest on StreamYard. Hell yeah. We hope to have you back, Jeff. It was an absolute pleasure. Do you have any parting remarks to the people of Lake County, to Rockford, CARFU at large?
Bronco tests suck.
We'll take that. All right. Well, Dan, lead us out.
That's it.